Volume 1. Tape number 1, Side A. Lesson 1. Greetings.
Repeat these words and sentences. Hello. Hello, John. Hello, Mary. Good morning. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Mr. Smith. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. Good afternoon, Miss Brown. Good evening. Good evening, Miss Brown. Good evening, Mrs. Black. Goodbye. Goodbye, John. Goodbye, Mrs. Black. How do you do? How do you do, Mary? How do you do, Miss Brown? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, John. Nice to meet you, Mr. Smith. Exercise 2. Now, repeat these short conversations. Listen.
Hello, I'm Kenji Matsuo.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Matsuo. My name's Osamu Kato.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Kato.
Now, repeat.
Hello, I'm Kenji Matsuo.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Matsuo. My name's Osamu Kato.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Kato.
Listen.
Hello, I'm Hanako Saito.
Nice to meet you, Miss Saito. My name's Koichi Hirose.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Hirose.
Now, repeat.
Hello, I'm Hanako Saito.
Nice to meet you, Miss Saito. My name's Koichi Hirose.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Hirose.
Exercise 3. Now, repeat these longer conversations. Listen.
May I ask your name?
I'm Mary Brown.
How do you do, Miss Brown? I'm John Smith.
I'm glad to know you, Mr. Smith.
Now, repeat.
May I ask your name?
I'm Mary Brown.
How do you do, Miss Brown? I'm John Smith.
I'm glad to know you, Mr. Smith. Listen. May I ask your name?
I'm Yasuko Saito.
How do you do, Miss Saito? I'm Atsuko Matsuo.
I'm glad to know you, Miss Matsuo.
Now repeat. May I ask your name?
I'm Yasuko Saito.
How do you do, Miss Saito? I'm Atsuko Matsuo.
I'm glad to know you, Miss Matsuo.
Exercise 4. Now, repeat these self-introductions. Listen. My name is Mary Brown. I live in New York. I go to New York University. I like music and skiing. Now repeat. My name is Mary Brown. I live in New York. I go to New York University. I like music and skiing. Listen.
My name is John Smith. I live in Chicago. I work for a bank. I like reading and baseball.
Now repeat.
My name is John Smith. I live in Chicago. I work for a bank. I like reading and baseball.
Now, repeat these questions and answers. Listen.
Excuse me, may I ask your name?
I'm Mary Brown.
How do you do, Miss Brown?
How do you do?
Where do you live?
I live in New York.
Are you a student?
Yes, I am.
Where do you go?
I go to New York University.
What sort of things do you like?
I like music and skiing.
Now repeat.
Excuse me, may I ask your name?
I'm Mary Brown.
How do you do, Miss Brown?
How do you do?
Where do you live?
I live in New York.
Are you a student?
Yes, I am.
Where do you go?
I go to New York University.
What sort of things do you like?
I like music and skiing.
Listen.
Excuse me, may I ask your name?
I'm Mrs. Black.
How do you do, Mrs. Black?
How do you do?
Where do you live?
I live in San Francisco.
Are you a student?
No, I'm not.
What do you do?
I'm a housewife.
What sort of things do you like?
I like movies and tennis.
Now repeat.
Excuse me, may I ask your name?
I'm Mrs. Black.
How do you do, Mrs. Black?
How do you do?
Where do you live?
I live in San Francisco.
Are you a student?
No, I'm not.
What do you do?
I'm a housewife.
What sort of things do you like?
I like movies and tennis.
End of Lesson 1. Lesson 2. Mary Brown and John Smith.
Listen.
Mary Brown lives in Weston City. She is 19. She's a student. She goes to Weston University. She studies French. She likes tennis and music.
Now, answer these questions. Does Mary Brown live in Weston City?
Yes, she does.
Is Mary 17?
No, she isn't.
Is she 19?
Yes, she is.
Is she a student?
Yes, she is.
Does she go to high school?
No, she doesn't.
Where does Mary Brown live?
She lives in Weston City.
Who lives in Weston City?
Mary Brown does.
How old is Mary?
She's 19.
What does Mary do?
She's a student.
Which university does she go to?
She goes to Weston University.
What does she study?
She studies French.
What does she like?
She likes tennis and music. Listen.
John Smith lives in Small Town. He is 23. He likes reading and golf. He isn't a student. He works in a bank. The bank isn't in Small Town. It's in Weston City. Weston City is near Small Town.
Now answer these questions. Does John Smith live in Weston City or in Small Town?
He lives in Small Town.
Is John 21 or 23?
He's 23.
Does he like reading?
Yes, he does.
Does he like golf too?
Yes, he does.
Is he a student?
No, he isn't.
Does he work in a hospital or in a bank?
He works in a bank.
Where is the bank?
It's in Weston City.
What does John like?
He likes reading and golf.
Is Small Town near or far from Weston City?
It's near Weston City.
End of Lesson 2. Lesson 3. Mary Brown meets John Smith.
John Smith and Mary Brown are talking. Listen to their conversation.
May I ask your name?
I'm Mary Brown.
How do you do, Miss Brown? I'm John Smith. Please call me John.
I'm glad to know you, John. Please call me Mary.
Okay, Mary. Do you live in Small Town?
No, I don't. I live in Weston City. Do you live in Weston City too?
No, I don't. I live in Small Town.
Are you a student?
No, I'm not. I work in a bank.
Is the bank in Small Town?
No, it's not. It's in Weston City. I live in Small Town, but I work in Weston City.
Oh, I see.
What about you, Mary? What do you do?
I go to Weston University.
Is that so? My sister goes to Weston University. What do you study?
I study French. What does your sister study?
She studies sociology. Her name's Jane. Do you know her?
Jane? Jane Smith? No, I don't know her. How old is she?
She's 19.
I'm 19 too. What about you?
I'm 23.
What sort of things do you like?
I like reading and golf. What about you?
I like tennis and music. What about your sister?
She likes music too, and she likes playing the guitar.
That's nice. Well, goodbye, John.
Goodbye, Mary. See you again sometime.
Now, answer these questions. What is the boy's name?
His name's John Smith.
What is the girl's name?
Her name's Mary Brown.
Does John live in Small Town?
Yes, he does.
Does John work in a hospital?
No, he doesn't.
Does he work in a bank?
Yes, he does.
Is the bank in Weston City?
Yes, it is.
Does Mary go to high school?
No, she doesn't.
Does she go to the university?
Yes, she does.
Does she study French?
Yes, she does.
Does John have a sister?
Yes, he does.
Does she study at the university?
Yes, she does.
Where does Mary live?
She lives in Weston City.
Where does John live?
He lives in Small Town.
What does Mary do?
She's a student.
What does John do?
He works in a bank.
What does Jane do?
She's a student.
Where do Mary and Jane study?
They study at Weston University.
What does Mary study?
She studies French.
What does Jane study?
She studies sociology.
Where does John work?
He works in Weston City.
What sort of things does Mary like?
She likes tennis and music.
What sort of things does John like?
He likes reading and golf.
What sort of things does Jane like?
She likes music and playing the guitar.
End of Lesson 3. Lesson 4. Naomi Masuda meets Bill Kent.
Bill Kent is from New York, but he isn't living in America now. He's living in Nishihara in Japan. He's an engineer, and he works for an American firm in Marushi. Marushi is near Nishihara, so Bill lives in Nishihara and works in Marushi. Naomi Masuda lives in Marushi. She goes to Nishihara High School. Naomi likes practicing English with foreigners. Today, she is talking to Bill Kent on the train. Listen to their conversation.
Excuse me, are you an American?
Yes, I am. I'm from New York. You're a student, I suppose.
That's right. Are you an English teacher?
No, I'm not. I'm an engineer. I'm working for an American company in Marushi.
Do you live in Marushi?
No, I don't. I live in Nishihara.
Is that right? I go to Nishihara High School. Are you married?
No, I'm not married. I'm single. You ask a lot of questions.
I like practicing English. Do you like Japan?
Yes, I like Japan very much.
What about Japanese girls?
They're very nice.
Thank you. Do you speak Japanese?
A little. I'm studying Japanese now. It's very difficult.
Well, English is a difficult language too.
You speak English very well. Do you have American teachers?
Not in high school, but I go to a language institute near here.
I see.
What sort of things do you like?
I like judo and baseball.
Judo. Is judo popular in America?
Oh, yes, very popular. Well, this is my stop. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Now, answer these questions. Is Bill Kent from New York?
Yes, he is.
Is he living in America now?
No, he isn't.
Is he living in Japan?
Yes, he is.
What city?
Nishihara.
Does he work in Nishihara?
No, he doesn't.
Does he work in Marushi?
Yes, he does.
Is Marushi near Nishihara?
Yes, it is.
Does Naomi live in Nishihara?
No, she doesn't.
Does she live in Marushi?
Yes, she does.
Does she go to school in Marushi?
No, she doesn't.
Are Bill and Naomi talking on the train?
Yes, they are.
Is Bill an English teacher?
No, he isn't.
Is he an engineer?
Yes, he is.
Is he married?
No, he isn't.
Who asks a lot of questions?
Naomi does.
How does Bill like Japan?
He likes it very much.
Where is he living now?
He's living in Japan.
What city is he living in?
He's living in Nishihara.
Which city does he work in?
He works in Marushi.
Does he work for an American firm or a Japanese firm?
He works for an American firm.
What is Bill studying?
He's studying Japanese.
What sort of things does he like?
He likes judo and baseball.
What school does Naomi go to?
She goes to Nishihara High School.
What does she like?
She likes practicing English.
Is Bill married or single?
He's single.
Is Japanese a difficult language?
Yes, it is.
What about English?
English is difficult too.
End of Lesson 4. Lesson 5. George and Anne are visiting the International Club.
George and Anne are studying at an American university. George is American, and he's from Chicago. Anne is English, and she's from Liverpool. Today, George and Anne are visiting the International Club. Listen to their conversation.
Do you like the International Club, Anne?
Yes, I do. It's very colorful.
Do you know any foreign students?
No, I don't. Who is that student? He's wearing a bright yellow shirt and pink trousers.
Where?
Over there, in the corner.
Oh, that's Tim. He's Australian. He's a very intelligent young man. He studies mathematics.
He's from Sydney, I suppose.
No, he isn't from Sydney. He's from Melbourne.
Who is the girl beside him? She's wearing a light green sweater and a gray skirt.
That's Sally. She's very pretty, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Is she from Australia, too?
No, Sally's a Canadian. She's from Vancouver.
Why don't you introduce me to Tim and Sally?
Okay, let's go and talk to them. Hi, Tim. Hello, Sally.
Hello, George.
This is my friend Anne. She's English. She's from Liverpool. Anne, this is Sally, and this is Tim. Sally's from Vancouver, and Tim's from Melbourne.
I'm glad to meet you, Anne. Do you like the International Club?
Yes, it's very nice.
Hello, Anne. Is this your first time here?
Yes, it is. I'm a new student.
Well, let's sit down and have a Coke.
Good idea.
Now, answer these questions. Is George from New York or Chicago?
He's from Chicago.
Is Anne from London or Liverpool?
She's from Liverpool.
Are Anne and George studying now?
No, they aren't.
Are they visiting the tennis club or the international club?
They're visiting the international club.
Does Anne like the club?
Yes, she does.
Is it very colorful?
Yes, it is.
Does Anne know many foreign students?
No, she doesn't.
Is Tim American or Australian?
He's Australian.
Is he in the corner or in the middle of the room?
He's in the corner.
Is Tim wearing a bright red shirt or a bright yellow shirt?
He's wearing a bright yellow shirt.
Is he wearing pink trousers or blue trousers?
He's wearing pink trousers.
Is Tim from Sydney or Melbourne?
He's from Melbourne.
Is the girl beside Tim from Melbourne?
No, she isn't.
Is her name Mary or Sally?
Her name's Sally.
Is she American or Canadian?
She's Canadian.
Is she wearing a light green sweater or a light blue sweater?
She's wearing a light green sweater.
Is she wearing a skirt or trousers?
She's wearing a skirt.
Is it a gray skirt or a brown skirt?
It's a gray skirt.
Is Sally plain or pretty?
She's pretty.
Is she from Vancouver or Montreal?
She's from Vancouver.
Is George introducing Anne to Sally and Tim?
Yes, he is.
Is Anne at the International Club for the first time?
Yes, she is.
Is Anne a new student or an old student?
She's a new student.
Are they going to sit down?
Yes, they are.
Are they going to drink Coke or beer?
They're going to drink Coke.
Where are George and Anne studying?
They're studying at an American university.
Where is George from?
He's from Chicago.
Where is Anne from?
She's from Liverpool.
What are they visiting?
They're visiting the International Club.
What nationality is Tim?
He's Australian.
Where does he come from?
He comes from Melbourne.
What color is his shirt?
It's bright yellow.
What color are his trousers?
They're pink.
What nationality is Sally?
She's Canadian.
Where does she come from?
She comes from Vancouver.
Who are Anne and George talking to?
They're talking to Tim and Sally.
End of Lesson 5. End of Side A.